Now we'll try and understand how did the empire become an empire. That is, from the garrison town to a full-fledged empire, which means consolidation of the empire has to be understood. There were two phases of it. One is the internal frontiers expansion which was done, and the second was the second expansion in the hinterland. So, as far as the internal frontiers are concerned, the Sultanate rulers tried to consolidate the hinterland, and they went up to the extent of clearing forest and giving it to the peasants to grow crops there. After that, they even started building new forts and new towns were established. They also took up the policy of protecting the trade routes and promoting the regional trade. This is the first expansion that we know of. All these policies fall under the first expansion plan. But the second expansion plan of the Sultanate period is when they started off military expeditions. That is, conquering and annexing more land and bringing it under their direct control. This policy of military expedition, especially into southern India, was started by Alauddin Khilji and culminated during Muhammad Tughlaq's reign. So, it was a long way to go when they consolidated their large empire. Now, once this huge large empire has been consolidated, that means it has been built, it has been brought under their control. Now, the next step is to give it perfect governance, to see that they are able to retain with that huge empire. Now, that was the next process, which means giving administration to the newly acquired territories. Now, to have an efficient administration of such a huge empire, the rulers of Delhi Sultanate period did not rely on big chieftains or lords. They actually appointed slaves as their governors, who were called as Bandagan in Persian. They believed that since these slaves were totally dependent on them, so it was very easy for the Sultan to have total trust and to rely on them. They felt that the big powerful chieftain nobles could easily create problems, could actually create encouragement to other people for violence or for even rebellion. But these slaves, the Bandagans, would ever remain loyal to their masters. We were talking of the low base born who were termed as Bandagan or slaves, and these people were appointed as on high post. Thus, the appointment of the low born, the base born to high positions brought about lot of political instability in the kingdom, because there were many problems associated with recruitment. For example, the Bandagans who were supposed to be dead loyal to their masters, of course remained loyal to the master who had appointed them, but did not show the same loyalty to the successor of the person or the king who had appointed them. The new king had his own favorites, and this created lot of problems. Now, as we have seen earlier, the authors of the Tuareg had clearly based the social division on the gender distinction and birthright. Thus, when the people of humble birth were given high position, it went against the birthright as they had acclaimed. Thus, the elites were shocked and the writers of the Tuareg totally criticized the new policy of having Bandagans as chiefs was done by the Tuaregs or the writers of the Tuaregs. Now, when the positions were given and then there were large kingdoms, the next thing that was required was to have governors for newly acquired territories. And these governors of newly acquired territories were generally the military commander who excelled in military expertise and he had an ikta to himself. And he was called a iktar or the mukti. And the revenue that he collected from the ikta was used as his salary and he also paid the soldiers from the same revenue. Now, what do you think is the biggest problem that is going to crop up with the coming of the ikta system? The problem was very simple, that these ikdars or the muktis or the commanders started becoming very powerful. Thus, to keep a check on their power, it was very important that the position did not become inheritable. That is, the land did not pass on to the children. It was for the person till the time he was alive, and also the shifting should be done from time to time to see that they did not become all very powerful in their iktas, in their region, in the area which they had got as a grant.